Sorrow is not unfamiliar to Naruto, and in all the arcs, character plots, and fights, there's a consistent underlying theme of sadness, a presence that, over the course of the series, leaves a lasting imprint on how the characters think, feel, and exist. This theme of sorrow that injects darkness into every ideal is what I believe the story is leading us towards. It infects each individual like a virus, slowly contaminating the philosophies of each prominent character Naruto comes across on his path. And Naruto, as the hero of the series, takes on the role of slowly flushing out the virus by overcoming the philosophies of every character he comes across on his path. But more often than not, it is the characters around him that drive the plot forward, usually by challenging the beliefs Naruto himself has towards the shinobi world and how things exist. To make this connection, the dialogue is constantly connecting two themes of sadness and responsibility together. Characters like Obito or Itachi even act as mirror reflections of these two themes, paths the characters could have fallen down had they made different decisions. But one character's philosophy shines through all the rest, acting like a direct opposing reflection of Naruto's, challenging him into a spirit of personal growth, transformation, and reflection. And this character is Pain. If Naruto is the hero, a character tasked with spreading hope and responsibility in place of the misery the characters experience, Pain is the exact opposite, a character of spiritual darkness, moving through the land to bring that sorrow out of people, all in the form of pain. And from the very start of the series, these two were on a collision course until one highly anticipated moment.
You asked me why I'm doing all this.
In a story full of heavy hitters, each character represents a different core theme Naruto needs to understand in order to complete his journey. But among these representations, Pain is often overlooked as the character with the saddest backstory. But that's because Kishimoto intentionally withholds revealing his backstory until we, as an extension of Naruto's perspective, successfully get our beliefs challenged. Coming to the realization that there are two sides to every story, that one cannot simply be entirely evil. And when looking through Pain's arc, it is only once he is defeated that there's any mention of the pain he experienced. This is because, to maximize the arc's effect, Kishimoto wanted us to develop the same conviction Naruto had in his beliefs, before suddenly shattering them before our very eyes. But to explore this relationship and the belief system Pain developed, we have to start at the beginning, exploring how Pain underwent this transformation from a young, naive, but good boy to the man who adopted Pain. Nagato was a good-hearted boy, but as circumstances would have it, he was the victim of unfortunate results. First in the loss of his parents during the Second Shinobi War, waged due to political reasons, and then secondly, his best friend Yahiko, who lost his life during the Third Shinobi War through a conflict waged again because of political interests. These events are what ultimately led Nagato down a path of hatred, but it's easy to understand why. As a young boy, one's subjective reality is created through their experiences, as well as the ideals and beliefs of those around them, but usually with an inaccurate depiction of what the world as a whole is like. This is because, to make sense of one's reality, we boil down complexity into only what we need to pay attention to in the present moment in order to survive, looking at ideas and events in a simplistic manner so to not overwhelm our identity. This, of course, can lead to naivety, as no ideal or philosophy is complete in its totality. And as a young boy, Nagato had a specific way of viewing the world that I'm sure was similar to many of us, that everyone is inherently good and no bad things would happen. But of course, when his parents died, right in front of his eyes, it shattered his beliefs. Now, when something like this happens, usually one of two routes are the outcome. Either the destruction of one system of beliefs leads to the realization that all systems of beliefs are unreliable, with the ultimate result being nihilism, or the individual will adopt the next closest perspective of viewing the world that will give them structure. I believe the latter to be the path Nagato chose to follow. With a loss of structure and a nihilistic outlook on life, Nagato stumbled onto Yahiko and Conan, who imprinted their beliefs onto him. Yahiko was particularly passionate about becoming strong enough to eliminate war, the peace through strength mantra we've seen many times in recent history. And so, Nagato chose to adopt the same beliefs. During this time, they met and completed their training with Jiraiya, eventually forming an organization called the Akatsuki, which Yahiko was the leader of. An organization whose goal was to eliminate conflict and bring peace to the world. Eventually, the reputation of the Akatsuki would sweep across the land, so much so that the leader of the Hidden Rain felt threatened by the establishment in his region, and together, through the manipulation of Danzo, devised a plot. Hanzo approached the Akatsuki through the guise of similar interests to set up a meeting. But once the meeting commences, Nagato and Yahiko realize this was an ambush, as Konan is captured. Hanzo forces Nagato to kill Yahiko, otherwise he would kill Konan. Yahiko then offs himself, and Nagato uses his Rinnegan to kill everyone except Hanzo, who barely escapes with his life. This moment is what created the cycle of hatred, as yet again, Nagato's belief systems are destroyed. But this time, instead of adopting the structure or beliefs of someone around him, he makes his own, the cycle of hatred. He then creates pain, accepts Obito's offer to join forces, and sets out on his mission. What kind of difference does it make in 1,000 years what we do today? This is nihilism. It is the belief in a predetermined fate, a single outcome, leading to the realization that nothing will change. This is the bedrock of Paine's philosophy, but it's not exactly his belief in its totality. Paine's philosophy is actually much more aligned with mutually shared understanding. He believed it is suffering itself that connects people, yet those who have never felt pain shall never understand what it means to be united. People can't move forward with a nihilistic view, and so Nietzsche was able to point out that the suffering of nihilism would ultimately jump to a new construction of reality that gives the individual complete control. This is where the cycle of hatred comes in. Countries with power fight amongst each other, causing destruction to weaker countries, which are used as battlegrounds. The bigger villages also profit from these wars, and so they have an incentive to cause more conflict. Those who inhabit the weaker countries end up suffering, and as a result, experience pain. However, the powerful nations who remain untouched by these small-scale conflicts never experience this pain, because the battles are fought in regions outside of their home turf. Paine wanted to make a weapon that would be able to cause pain to everyone, so that everyone could feel this same pain, with the idea being that once everyone felt that pain and had experienced what it was like, they'd seek peace at all costs, hoping to never experience that pain again. While sound theoretically, it doesn't work practically. This is because we are blinded by our perceptions. The anticipation, built up until this moment, comes to a head when Naruto and Nagato meet face to face, for real. It is Naruto's conviction in forgiveness that breaks the nihilism out of Pain. With every reason to seek vengeance, moral, philosophically, or even pragmatically speaking, Naruto chooses to forgive him, breaking the cycle of violence Pain had envisioned. Nagato is at first dumbfounded by this proposal and questions how Naruto could possibly honor his mentor, Jiraiya, who Nagato had killed. To which Naruto responds by saying, "I will do so in my own way." This is the moment where Nagato realizes that his philosophy is not based in practicality as a direct result of how humans behave, but instead, it is a philosophy built out of personal failure, which he selfishly pushed onto other people. Nagato then uses his heavenly life technique to bring back all of the lost comrades that died as a result. The ending of this arc perfectly embodies what Solzhenitsyn wrote about in his book, The Gulag Archipelago, and I personally believe it is the perfect ending to Pain's story. Nietzsche believed that when God died, people would have to take on the responsibility of God as a personal problem. For people to withstand this catastrophe, they would have to become gods themselves. While initially, Pain adopted this path, moving in a manner more similar to a totalitarian, psychoanalysts like Carl Jung thought about Nietzsche's idea differently. If we lose our values, the structure of our identity, with nihilism being one route to fall down and totalitarianism the other, what is left? Jung said, the individual. The individual would be able to bring forth genuine values as a result of honest thinking and responsibility. This is Naruto. This is the viewpoint Naruto offered that completely changed Pain's perspective. To the degree that you avoid responsibility, or shoved them off onto totalitarian or nihilistic systems, you have avoided the responsibility of thinking about it for yourself. This is what Pain did when he chose to adopt Yahiko and then Obito's vision for a better future. And it's why his realization of the cycle of hatred being a personal failure as opposed to a predetermined philosophical idea is so powerful. Solzhenitsyn thought deeply about how a belief like this would develop, and he thought it was because individuals, like Nagato, would give up their own responsibility to the truth by adopting someone else's beliefs in order to structure their reality. Then, to keep themselves blind, they would lie to themselves continuously to keep the idea alive. But Solzhenitsyn then goes on to state something even more brilliant. If an individual who composes the state refuses to accept things that they know to be untrue, then the state cannot survive. This is Naruto. This is exactly what Naruto did for Pain. First by getting his own beliefs challenged by Pain, making Naruto understand that there's no good or evil and everyone is a mix of both, and then by challenging Nagato, or Pain's, beliefs. By showing him, through his actions, that he would not seek vengeance. He challenged his nihilistic ideology in the cycle of hatred by forgiving him, choosing to walk away from the hatred, even though he had every right to seek vengeance. And it is in this moment that Pain, shocked by what Naruto had just done, realizes that the outcome of his philosophy was a lie that he knew to be wrong but adopted anyway, because of how cynical the world made him out to be. Pain's arc has always been such a moving moment in anime history for me. And even now, I still think back to this piece of work by Kishimoto, amazed at how he could display all of these philosophical ideas in one masterpiece. And for me, I've always taken this arc to be an embodiment of Solzhenitsyn's ideas and how one person who chooses to fight the narrative that exists can overthrow a whole tyranny of ideology simply by telling the truth, by doing what they know to be right. But Pain's philosophy is also a very unique point to understand. On one hand, the idea of creating immense suffering for the entire world is rather evil. But on the other hand, he had a point. Naruto was only able to break Pain's conviction because he had experienced pain. It was his pain that allowed him to connect with Nagato and ultimately break the cycle of hatred.